My name is Olivier Krischer. I am the co-curator of the exhibition Wayfaring Photography in 1970s, 80s Taiwan, which is currently on at the Center on China in the World at the ANU in Canberra. And that's co-curated with Dr. Shusha Chen. And as part of the public program, I'm delighted to be here with Taiwan art expert Sophie McIntyre and Taiwanese artist Yao Jui-chung for their discussion. But before we get underway, as customary, it's my pleasure to first of all welcome you all and acknowledge on behalf of all of us the First Nations custodians, the Indigenous communities on the land in which we meet, live, work. And in that case, I'm here on Wongal and Gadigal land of the Eora Nation in Sydney, where I was raised and continue to work. But I'd also like to extend this acknowledgement to the Ngunnawal people, traditional custodians of the unceded land of Canberra, where the exhibition is taking place. And as is particularly pertinent today, also First Nations people of Taiwan, because that has so much to do with not only the discussion today and Yao's presence, but also a number of the works in the exhibition relate to Indigenous representation in the 70s and 80s, which was something coming to the fore at that time. A little bit about the exhibition, and I'll keep it brief because we are running a bit late, but focusing on the 70s and 80s is significant because Taiwan's 38-year martial law period came to an end with the official lifting of martial law in 1987. And so the work in the exhibition is 35 works by 12 artists, mostly drawn from the National Taiwan Museum of Fine Arts in Taichung, excellent collection there. And the work really reflects on this period of significant political, economic, and social transformation. Today, however, we're also delighted to be able to extend this sort of interest and some of the themes and issues that we were thinking of when putting the exhibition together through this discussion. So when we reached out to Sophie, given her expertise, it was quite fortuitous in many ways that she mentioned her own project that I'm sure that she'll elaborate on with Yao Jui-chung, and we realized what an excellent opportunity it would be to really discuss the ways in which this period, the 70s and 80s, and the martial law impacted on the emergence of Taiwanese contemporary art, and particularly to say that Yao Jui-chung is part of this last generation, let's say, who were coming of age and being educated in art schools under the last years of the martial law period. So we're delighted to be able to touch on these topics. Very briefly, Sophie will be doing a fuller introduction of Yao Jui-chung, but I would like to introduce Sophie. So many of you, I'm sure, are very familiar, but Sophie is a senior lecturer at the Queensland University of Technology and a curator and writer specializing in Asian art and, of course, especially art from Taiwan. Her 2018 monograph, Imagining Taiwan, The Role of Art in Taiwan's Quest for Identity, published by Brill, is a seminal English study of Taiwan contemporary and Indigenous art, touching on cultural diplomacy, museum practice, and exhibitions. And over the past 20 years, she's personally been involved in the curation of numerous high-profile touring exhibitions focusing on Taiwan art, including Ink Remix, which many in our audience may have seen. The subtitle there is Contemporary Art from Mainland China, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. And that was a show that toured between 2015 and 2017, including in Canberra, for those of us joining from Canberra. I'll leave my comments very briefly there. I'd like to thank, first of all, to begin with, Yao Jui-chung, Yao Laoshi, for joining us from Taiwan today. And just a mention of housekeeping, please do put your questions in the Q&A window, which you should see a little button, Q&A, at the bottom of your screen, as this is a webinar. Put your comments and your questions there, and we'll be back to moderate a discussion afterwards. So I'll hand over now to Sophie to give a fuller introduction, and thank you all for joining again. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you very much, Olivia, for inviting both Yao and I to speak today. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see your exhibition due to lockdowns and state border closures. So hopefully, though, you know, things will open up soon. But so thank you for the opportunity to speak. Yao and I've been working together probably for about 20 years now, Yao, I think. I met him when he was what could probably be described as emerging artist, just having come out of military service and embarking on what has become a very a flourishing artistic career. So Yao was born in 1969, so he's part of what's called the post-martial law generation in Taiwan. And he's an artist, curator, writer, and also a co-founder of an alternative art space called VT Art Salon in Taipei. He's got a diverse and extensive art practice, and he works across media, including photography, painting, drawing. And today we're going to be focusing on a small selection of Yao's works, and mainly his photographs. Yao's not only started out really as a photographer when he was at art school, but he's also published a number of books about photography in Taiwan. So that's in line with Olivia and Shu Xiao's exhibition. We're going to be focusing on photography, and I thought, given that some of you may not be as familiar with Yao's work, that we might provide a little bit of a context first in terms of the climate in Taiwan when Yao was growing up and his education, and the impact of martial law or the effects of martial law on artists during that period, and in particular on Yao's emerging art practice at the time. So Yao, my first question to you is, you grew up during a period of dramatic change, as Olivia said, 38 years of martial law. It was lifted in 1987, and which gave way to democratisation, liberalisation of the media, and certainly a flourishing art scene in Taiwan. For you, we've talked about this in the past, your education, your growing up under the old KMT ideology of recovering mainland China. And indeed, you did a series of work about focusing on that, using that title that we'll talk about in a minute. But could you perhaps elaborate a little bit on what you, at university at the time, in terms of your education, the impact of the lifting of martial law for you and on your own art practice?
Yes, thank you, Sophie. And first of all, I want to show this one. This is I from Australia. I born in Albany. You know Albany?
Albany, yeah.
Nearby the Melbourne. Last time I went to Mama Museum. I have a show there. So actually, I have a very good relationship with Australia friends, and have some expressions there. And before 1987 summer, I was high school student learning art, and my father is the KMT's high. How do you call that? Higher, some leaders. So actually, I didn't know he is a leader in KMT. He's very secret. So when I was very young, he always said, "Love your country, ROC." So so when I was young, I didn't know of Taiwan anything. Until after the martial law, I went to Taipei Art University, and I learned myself to read the Taiwan history, 400 history by Shiming and by other scholar they wrote the Taiwan history. I never know before, because KMT is perhaps to let people know the past. So I just know China geography and history, everything, but I didn't know anything about Taiwan. So I felt very guilty. So I start to hiking Taiwan high mountain to search the Aboriginal people's village, or do some works to rethinking about what is colonization, what is the history, who is the real Taiwanese people. So I start to do these works. I'm sorry. So I call it because in the Republic of China, because the Republic of People's Republic of China is not allowed another China. So the Republic of China is disappeared since 1972. The Republic of ROC is totally different, disappeared. But we can not also use Taiwan. So actually the Taiwan island, the peoples who living in the Taiwan island now is disappeared in the world. Since 1972, 15 years ago, we are disappeared in the earth. So you can check the Olympic game, the Chinese Taipei, but it's not really have this location in the world. So who we are? So what is our past? I'm very questioned for that. So I start to rethinking about who is the real Taiwanese people. So I did this project after the martial law in 1994, because the martial law is over in 1987, but it's not immediately influence to everyone. So we need time to rethink about that, because in the same time the government also have another law. It's called country security, something like that. So the government is still watching you by any ways. So I was in that time I was studying in the National Taipei Art University. So I used some humor way to rethinking about the sad history before, because the Taiwanese contemporary art, they're talking about February 22, always very sad, or are they talking about the past 400 years, very, very sad. So I think I'm in that time I'm very young, so I try to use another way to rethinking about what is the attitude we should face the set stories about Taiwanese history. So I use I naked in the public state locations. The locations is the foreign people, they landing points to Taiwan. So the dogs, did you saw the dogs? They peace, because they want to make mark. Say, oh, this is my area. You guys don't leave me alone. So I just naked. This is me. 27 years ago, I was very young, and very skinny. So I just. This is location, the background. This is in 1624, the Dutch the landing points in Tainan, but now it's abandoned. So I just naked. But I'm set up the tripod, use the camera, the film camera to take these pictures myself. So I have to pretending I'm an lunatic or some crazy man, and the naked first, and I have a black jacket in the winter, and I drink a lot of waters first, and every prepare, and I throw away the jacket and go to there, and have to start and come back to push the camera again, because only twice I can do that. So I go back to and in front of this door there's a lot young old people. They are doing the Tai Chi just here. So I say, oh, I want to take the movie, so please move out. So they called to the policeman. So after I finished this work, the policeman just arrived. So I escaped very quickly. So it's a very funny stories. And the other one is in the Spanish occupation in 1626, because they occupied the Keelung, the North Taiwan. During that time, they want to do some economic with the Qing dynasty. So they occupied some location, including the Indonesia, Singapore, or the Philippines. But Taiwan is more close to the China. So the Hong Kong is, in that time, it's not Hong Kong. It's not Macau, just Taiwan. Keelung and Tainan is very, very important, because you have to go to Japan, you have to passing through the Taiwan. So this is a very important place. So I also make mark, and he's a golden toilet.
So yeah, with these particular works, Territory Takeover, this was actually based on a slogan too, wasn't it? A political slogan. And your that's right. And you're referencing with the toilet, the symbolism of the toilet.
Toilet is if I go to here, it's illegal. But I bring my toilet to the wire to inside here is illegal. It's okay. So it means all the especially the Japanese or the Spanish or Dutch, they use the force to occupation Taiwan by force. It's barbarian way to have this land. So for me, this is also very barbarian land way to. But they can if you piece inside into the golden toilet, it means you self legal. How could you call that? It's okay, because it's for I can explanation to the guy, say, oh, I'm okay. So I just use a very just like a very funny way to ironic the past history way, the barbarian way. I use also very barbarian way. Sorry.
And the combination of the gold and the toilet, the gold being quite a significant has religious significance, and the toilet.
And the Duchamp.
Yes, and to Duchamp, of course. Yeah, I'm just conscious of that there are many series of works in your PPT that we'd like to discuss. So the series Territory Takeover was a series of 6 photographs based on the 6 landing points where the colonial occupiers landed. And yeah, maybe perhaps, have you got the slide there from the Venice Biennale presentation? No, okay.
No.
So
sure. Just
I thought that was included. Anyway, let's move on to the mainland, the Recover Mainland China series, if you like, Yao.
Yeah, because
we can talk about that.
Because during the 1970s, it's a cultural revolution in mainland China, and Chiang Kai-shek want to recover China all the times. So from 1966 to 1976, in our government, they have already a project to attack mainland China, focus on Xiamen and Fujian during that areas. So when I was young, we be teaching you have to go back to China, because my father is from China. They retired from China in 1979. So I started do my military service in 1994, because every Taiwanese young people have to do 2 years or 3 years doing the martial law military service. So I'm lucky. I'm go to Air Force. It's very not very serious training, because the army they're going to kill armies. But I'm doing the karaoke. Do you know karaoke?
Karaoke. Yep.
Yeah, I'm the boss of the karaoke in the night, doing my best, Air Force Base. So I selling the cigarettes or the instant noodles to the soldiers, and they play the karaoke. And so this is the song we have to say it. Recovering mainland China, recovering China. China is our motherland. It's our land. We cannot let Mao Zedong take away. We have go back. This is we have to sing every day. During when I was young, and so I went to do my military service in Air Force, but my face is covered by the government. I don't have my own face individually face. All the faces is country, party. So this is when I doing the military service. This is me in 1994 April. So but now in Taiwan we just need to do the 4 months military training. But in that time, this very dangerous event is in 1997. I was in the army. The China government have they have two across Taiwan. How do we call that?
Taiwan Straits, the Taiwan
Yes.
Straits crisis. Yeah.
Very terrible. I was in Air Force, so we have a sleeping with gun, and go to the ending the, because they maybe were some soldiers from the sky, so we have to shoot in to the sky. But actually it's only sunshine, very hot. Nothing happened. So after I do my military service, because it's real, so I went to China to do the real actions. So I went to Tiananmen Square, but I pretending I'm a tourist. I'm a spy. I go to there, very secret, to take China over, but by very funny way. So you can see I'm always flirting. This is in front of the China History Museum. So they said China government want to take over Hong Kong, final countdown to 1997, July 1st. I was there in 1996, October. So this is at least 264 days. Attention, in that time, no digital, Photoshop, no cell phone, no computer. Everything is very is physical. So this is a film, and I asked my sister to take the photos. I just jump in there, but it's quite close to Tiananmen, so it's full of the policemen in that area. So I just jump in, and some policemen come to me. So we just run away. So this is a Hong Kong now. Now the Hong Kong now is returned to China, but Hong Kong become very, very. I feel very sorry, but this is Zhonghuan, so I just jump in there. Here is Memorial Hall. is talking about the British fight the Japanese army and take over the Hong Kong Memorial Hall here.
And
this is
yeah,
yeah.
Sorry.
It's a China Bank. Yeah.
Yeah. You talked to me earlier about the Recover Mainland China. You had it was your desire to actually go back and see your siblings who were living in China, your father's children, and this sense of a desire to reconnect, that you really felt that that was an impossible thing to do when you actually went there. Of course, people were only allowed to go back to China from Taiwan when martial law was lifted in '87. So it was a feeling that many people had this sense of disconnect. Can you perhaps elaborate on that a little bit in relation to the series that you did?
Yes, my father have a wife in mainland China after before the 1949. Actually, he have 2 wives. Until he died, I know he have another wife. He's a secret. He have a lot of secrets I didn't know. So so I'm very shocked. So I have another brothers in China. So I went to China to looking for them in Changzhou, in Wujing. So I went to once, and I gave my big sisters to my father's paintings, because my father also a very famous Chinese ink painters. So I give to my big sisters my father's paintings, and he's very old. In that time, I was there in 15 years ago. So he cried because he never saw his father again. Over 16 years. So I just giving him the paintings. So he very sad. And all the second families I have no contact, because most of them are living in United States, in New York, or in Hawaii, or in Shanghai. So so all the times I'm thinking, what is China? What is Taiwan? What is the relationship with the families? So for me, I'm really Taiwanese people living in Taiwan over 2 years already. So I actually the 外省人, you know, the 外省人 is it's very important issues before, especially in the president selections. But now is actually totally no problems, because most of them are passed away already.
If I could just butt in here, yeah, Waishengren, for people who may not know, the people who arrived in Taiwan with Chiang Kai-shek and the KMT post 1949.
In 1949, because there's a 1,000 million soldiers, they moved to Taiwan. So they built a large village for the military residency. And the Chiang Kai-shek became the president in 1915's March. In March, he became a president again, and until he died in 1975. And next year, the Mao Zedong also passed away. So something changed, because the Mao Zedong died. The revolution, cultural revolution, is over. So China became into another system. They called Chinese economic system. So the Deng Xiaoping is always competition with Jiang Jingguo during the 1980s and the 70s. So in 1970s, everything is made in China, or made in Taiwan, MIT. But since 1970s, everything is made in China. So so the Taiwan change to the traditional product factory. They changed to become a computer or the other systems.
So yeah, that retelling of history, that historical narrative, is a really important part to a lot of your work, particularly the last two series. Do you feel that your role is partly as a narrator of Taiwan's history, of a desire to kind of recover and retell that history? What's your feeling towards that?
You mean
towards Taiwan's history and the retelling of that history? You've got territory takeover, recover mainland China, that sense of retelling.
Because China until today, they want to take over Taiwan all the times, and Taiwan is the most dangerous place in the world. This little island, because we went to have participate a lot of exhibitions. They want Taiwanese artists become a China artist. They always use the China Taiwan artist. So I'm not very happy for that. So however, I think rethinking about this history is for my personally, and most of the Taiwanese people, they also the soul controlled by the KMT. But now we know the truth, so we decide not to follow them, and we choose the freedom and the democracy system. But the KMT, even the China, they try to use a very terrible and the traditional way to control us. So I don't like that. So those works is attitude and to rethinking about what is the meaning of the martial law. After the martial law, we decide to choose our own way, not follow the KMT or the communist way.
Should we move on? Yep, to liberation. Yep.
Yeah. So in 2007, the Ma Ying-jeou government, they want to negotiate with the Chen Yunlin, the Chinese government leaders sent to Taiwan. So we have not against that. So I pretending I'm Jiang Zemin, the leaders in China in that time. They want to take over Taiwan. So this is a president. This is a president policy in Taipei. Actually, it's a Japanese style mixed with European style buildings. So I was say, hello, I occupation Taiwan, but actually he's never touched our land. So this is also very use another human way to respond to the Chinese government. And during the same time, I also did some very funny ways, because the Chiang Kai-shek is the only leaders when after he died, Taiwanese people built a beautiful park and the cemetery for him. So this is this park in Taoyuan, full of the Chiang Kai-shek's bronze statues. After he died in 1975, we have to go to Strait to cry and say, oh, you are the greatest world, greatest human in the world. So why you pass away? So we feel very, very sad. I think in that time I think very strange. So everybody start to build the statues everywhere in the office, in the park, in the school, in everywhere is full of his statues, just like a ghost. Everywhere is him. But after the martial law, and most of the statues be destroyed, sold away, and the Chiang Kai-shek now in Taiwan still is a mama. How do you call that? he's still in the Chihu, and his cave no, is how to call that?
Yeah, his body. You mean is still? It's like Matsudong's. His body has actually been embalmed.
Yeah, and then and the floating in Taiwan Island. He's not. He don't want to touch Taiwan Island, so his cave is floating in the Taiwan Island, and he become how to call that?
Like a
Mama.
ghost or yeah.
He's not buried for almost for 15 years. The Mao Zedong also. So it's not good to become a greatest man in the world, because you will become a
ghost. Or,
ghost. So I pretending I'm a Chiang Kai-shek. So I just use the soldier's way, walking in his garden. It's always his stage's garden. Actually, it's a very popular location for the Chinese tourists to Taiwan. They want to see the Chiang Kai-shek. And okay, so because during the 1918 and the 1990s, Taiwan economic is very good, but after that, the China take away our MIT, become NIC, made in China. So we left a lot factory and the military ruins, and this location is quite important because in 1915s, Mao Zedong want to take over Taiwan, so they want to take over Kinmen, so they attacked here. But in this is called the triangle bunkers. The KMT win this battle, so they say, "Oh, victory! First victory after the 1408." So the Chiang Kai-shek start to control. So he have a start the white territory during the 1950s because there's a lot communist or the independent movement. They have some political reasons. So they all in jail. This is in Green Island. So in the east of Taiwan, the Green Island and the Oki Island, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 political jails. So this is quite important because the very smart and the very good people, they are all in jail, and old soldiers is in Kinmen and Maju in the west of Taiwan to protect Taiwan. So
and this was during the White Terror period. Yeah.
Pardon?
This was during the White Terror period, 1950s and 60s in Taiwan, the White Terror.
Yeah, until Chiang Kai-shek passed away. Because in that time, China is a cultural revolution. So Chiang Kai-shek want to recover China through this. This is a hole, it's a cave made by human beings, by the soldiers. They did this cave, hiding the attacked boat. They would try to recover China to attack Xiamen during the 1970s. But the CIA, the satellite, they find this location. So they ask Chiang Kai-shek not do anything. Otherwise, there's no any support after. So this project is called the Guoguang project. So stopped. And I went to Kinmen to find this location to write into my books. It's called the Ruined Island, because Taiwan used Kinmen, Maju, Penghu, and Wuqiu become the military base to recover in China. Even now, we still have some soldiers in there. This is Maju, but this location become a coffee shop now, because now is we don't have too much soldiers now, and so most of the military base abandoned.
Yeah, before we just go on to this series, the Ruins series, there's about 350 photographs, I think, that make up this Ruins series that you began in the 1990s. It's become quite a massive archive, obviously. What has compelled you to keep continuing with this series, to keep building on this series and publishing books based on this series? What drives you to do that?
First of all, in Taiwan, you want to publish a book is very difficult because it's too expensive. In that time, I was very poor because my daddy was died in 1988 after martial law. So my father left me a pen, Chinese pen, only one pen, nothing else. So I only have one pen. So I watching this pen and say, oh, this is my daddy left me a pen. So I started to do the paintings after 2007. But what's the question, pardon? Oh.
What drives you to keep photographing the ruins around Taiwan? What's been the motivation?
Because after the martial law is very important for Taiwan, because we become democracy and more freedom. It's no throat control and the media control, and the factory, most of the factory moved to China, and the military. You know the first chain in the Cold War, the first island chain is in here. So there's a lot. The Chen Shui-bian start to reduce the army. So we used to have 14,000 armies until now, just only not half. So it's a lot abandoned, and including our belief, the temples, a lot of temples are abandoned. Even the paradise, the playground also abandoned. So in 1990s, I think it's very important, a key time for Taiwan to change. So 1919 also is a contemporary the movement in Taiwan, very, very hot. So it's very, in that time, I think you was in Taiwan. Yep. So you saw a lot artists, they against to the government by the artist way, and did some very interesting project, and no any budget, any support. They just find some public spaces or the ruins to do some works. It's totally different until now. Yeah. So this is there's the questions.
We might take the questions after Yao. I think Olivia is going to moderate that. Should we go perhaps on to the next series, the Republic of Cynic? We've got about 10 minutes left.
Okay. Oh, sorry. This is some question I'll answer later. So recently, because last year the virus, how do we call that, happened. So it's not allowed to go abroad. So I established So I established a country. It's called the Republic of Cynic. It's called ROC, just similar to our Republic of China. Actually, it's also the Republic of Cyprus also use this name. In the world, have 3 countries use this name. So I created a fake countries. As the people can have a passport, a boarding car, and they can go to here to have just like a go abroad. So it's a lot of people got the poster and the passport to see the show. Sorry. So this work is looks very funny, but this actually talking about in 1978, Taiwan government because the United States want to have a relationship with China, so they just we just divorced. So the angry people go to the embassies through the eggs. So I arranged a policeman, just like muscle men to protect the embassy. And this is me. I pretending I'm a tank man to replay again to clean the Tiananmen Square, but use the people's force. This is videos. So if you have time, you can take a look. I have let me show you later. This is talking about the Afghanistan, the 911. So I'm really become a communist suicide bomb myself to attack the police stations. So if you want to see, you can go here. Let me show you.
We've got a little bit of time, I think, too, if you wanted to show it.
So this is you can go to inside, and you can walk in to see the show. And this is our Air Force. We call the Ming Hell for the. We can have to sing our national song here and have some lecture here. So you can see this is some videos here. This is a long life.
Yeah, we can't actually see it. All we can see is the link, unfortunately.
Yes, I just put in the link. You can see yourself.
Great.
Yeah.
So thank you very much to Yao Jui-chung for joining us from Taiwan. I'd also like to thank the Center on China in the World for supporting, as always, and Nancy Chiu for supporting not only this conversation, but the exhibition as well, which continues through November. If you are lucky enough to be mobile in any way in Canberra, go and check it out. Otherwise, we do have the information online as well. And thanks, lastly, Sophie,
Thank you.
you.
Olivia and Sophie. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thanks, Olivia, Yao, and Nancy, too.